Hello, 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 beautiful people. Hi, how are you? Welcome everyone to the space. I didn't realize we were already live. But here we are. I was like over here still getting screens and shit ready, and I was like, I think we're live now. So welcome. You got to see the behind the scenes kind of me in the in between mode. How are you, everyone? Welcome to the space. How about that full moon? How about that full moon? How about that full moon? Yeah. I'm really I love this full moon. I am telling you, as someone who has a North Node in Aquarius, I feel like this full moon is really motivating me in a direction that I'm all about. I will be doing a nodal return workshop eventually. I'm working on it right now because this North Node, South Node moment, we're moving from North Node Pisces, right, collectively, to now North Node Aquarius collectively. And if you have North Node Aquarius or South Node Leo, even if it's in reverse for you, this is a good major moment if you choose to walk through this door. Of course, for my Aquarian folks, this is going to be a Renaissance era for you babes, which I'm excited about as well. But all this to say, the nodal return aside, let's talk about this Saturn retrograde moment. Saturn retrograde. So Saturn just stationed retrograde. It will be retrograding until December of this year, December 10th to be exact. And I wanted to break down Saturn, what Saturn is all about, what is Aries all about, and together what Saturn and Aries really come in to teach us. Now, if you have Saturn and Aries in your chart, if you're like in the 27 to like 30 years old, or if you're in like those late 50s, early 60s, potentially it's your Saturn return. If you're, of course, younger, it's your first Saturn return. And if you're in those, you're maturing, it's your second Saturn return. And Saturn returns, pop culture astrology wise, tend to be really difficult, right? It's really difficult for people if you don't know what's going on. It's kind of like a midlife crisis. So let's talk about Saturn here. Let's talk about what Saturn is all about, and then we'll bring in the retrograde and the Aries components in just a little bit here. So first, understanding Saturn. What does Saturn mean? What does Saturn look like? So here is the wheel of life, right? All of these symbols could be really tough for people when they're like, what does it all mean? But the symbol we're looking for here is this guy right here, this little cross and this little pivot down into the earth. And in that, we start seeing that Capricorn, that Capricornian archetype of climbing, using the earth materials, right, to kind of transcend to God, source, creator, universe in some way. Now, Saturn, I have it tattooed on my arm for a reason, is the planet of structure. It's the planet that binds and holds things together. Saturn has two faces, two rulers. There's the Capricorn face of Saturn, and classically, there's the Aquarius face of Saturn. Aquarius is at home in Saturn as well, traditionally. It wasn't until we discovered Uranus that the more modern astrological lens started associating Uranus and Aquarius as being home in with each other, all right? But traditionally, Saturn and Aquarius went hand in hand. So what does this mean? So there's the very earthly expression of Saturn, the actual foundation, right? That the foundations that bind us, right? And there's the Aquarius expression of Saturn, which is looking at the words, the language around the rules that bind us. That's why when we think of Aquarius, we're thinking of social conformity. You look at Saturn's rings and you look at it closely, and it's a bunch of rocks, right? A bunch of rocks around this planet, or around this solid structure. And one could imagine metaphorically that once upon a time, let's say these rings were regimented, were rooted, it was solid. But when you keep something in a box for too long, what tends to happen here is boom, we break free. We have to break free. We have to question. We're breaking free. So boom, the rocks are broken. And in that, we start to see the Aquarian signature of Saturn, which is yes, we need that middle, we need the meat, we need the structure, but we also need the freedom and the space to be an individual within these structures as well. Now, one side of Saturn understands that there's time and discipline. Like, yes, we need that to Aquarius eventually feel free within the structures, right? We need rules, right? We need rules. We need expectations. We need agreements. Capricorn can lay down the law and the rules of those expectations quite harshly. And Aquarius stands back and it challenges those rules as well, right? Now, that's why Saturn is often associated as being very paternal in its expression. It is Chronos mythologically, right? So Father Time, and this sort of energy of like, we only have this time. What are we going to do with this time? And how we move with this time really matters, right? That's why Saturn is sometimes known as a malefic planet, because it forces us to look at our karma, at our weight, at the rules, at social conformity, at all these things that bind us, some of us walking with them as a ball and chain. My partner and I, we have this conversation all the time of the distinguishing of burdens and blessings. That sometimes our blessings are a burden. Yeah, sometimes our blessings are a burden. Sometimes it's home, right? We got to feed it. We have to sustain it. And sometimes the sustaining of this home, which gives us so much life and abundance and so many beautiful things, is a burden. It's something we got to be responsible for. No matter how glamorous it is or unglamorous it is, there are pockets where it feels glamorous to take care of. There are pockets where it doesn't. And if I were to just go for the glamour, the things that just feel good, right, then something else will fall apart. Understanding here with Saturn, it's that lesson that sometimes the work is not glamorous. But if you want something and you do something consistently, eventually it will become a fruitful foundation for things to grow on, for us to build upon. That's why Saturn is a struggle for some people, because we don't want to do the work. We just want the work to be easy. Wouldn't it be beautiful if the work was just easy? Wouldn't it be wonderful if the work was just easy? Sure. But I would say the feeling, the process of earning something is what Saturn is really focused on. To earn. To earn the foundation from which we stand upon. That is interesting. That is delicious. That is, if it's just given to you, if it's just handed to you, trust and believe we will find a reason to complain about how easy it is eventually. And that's what Saturn motivates us to look at. Now, depending on what sign it's in, like that'll tell us what the work is all about. The sign is the nature of the work, the great work. In Pisces, which Saturn was just in, it was the great work of our spirituality. It was the great work of who we are as spiritual beings. Many of us embarked on meditation practices, explored lucid dreaming, explored the ritual of spirit, whether it was through the tarot, journaling, the artist's way, ... You fill in the blanks. The structure of our spiritual life. And how quickly, boom, it fades away the minute there's uncertainty and chaos, right? We spend all this time exploring meditation and elevating our vibration. It's a very Saturn and Pisces placement, right? And now is the time for us to do something with it. Aries. Pisces being the last sign of the zodiac, Aries being the first sign of the zodiac. So we're looking at action. We're looking at impulse. We're looking at desire. Where Aries here, if it wasn't influenced by Saturn, Aries would be like, I want to do this, 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 I want to do this. I have this desire. I want to do something here. I want to do something there. And we'll start 4 different projects around this desire. And Saturn goes, okay, a desire is not enough. You gotta do something with it, and you gotta do it consistently. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's fire, it's will, it's desire. It's the raw materials of creativity itself. And Aries goes here and here and here and here and here and here and here. Cardinal fire, right? So it initiates. It initiates a desire here, initiates a desire here, initiates a desire here. And we start all these fires all over, but nothing is ever concrete. Nothing is ever focused. And that's why we have Saturn and Aries here, because it is the structure and the discipline of our desires, of one desire. How many of us are wannabes? Right? I want to be this, I want to be this, I want to be this, I want to be this. And Saturn's like, okay, well, do it. But I want it to come easy. I just want it to be easy. I want to be this. I want to do what you do, Danny. Okay, show up every day. Share your truth. Express. This whole platform, years, I would say a decade's worth in the making before it became anything bountiful or fruitful, before it became a platform, a foundation where I get to stand upon and like, great, I feel good in here. The resources that are coming through feel good. They feel aligned. I feel good in this work. I feel integrous with this work. This work feels good. But there's some days I get up and I don't want to do it. What is that? Why is that? Is that voice really mine? And I can attach all these ideas around the work, right? Of like, oh, well, it's patriarchy. It's capitalism. Very Capricornian words, right? But how much of that is an excuse that is getting in the way of me doing the things that would sabotage me if I didn't do it? And that is what we're looking at with Saturn and Aries, is how we sabotage ourself. Aries, I, me. How we sabotage the self. You got to get over yourself. Saturn presents a mountain. The mountain is that of self. You got to get over yourself. We're redefining self. With retrograde, here it goes. Retrograde is not Saturn sitting back and just going, okay, whatever, you deal with it. When any planet retrogrades, it's a concentration, an amplification of that energy. And Saturn here is standing across the table from you and going, you're going to do it. You're going to do it. Are you going to really do it? Are you going to really do it? Are you really going to do it? Or are you just going to do this? Oh, but I can't do it. I don't want to do it. I'm so scared. What if nobody likes me? What if you don't do it? Is it worse to not do the thing you've been circling around endlessly? Or is it worse to just not do it at all? You want to be alive? That's Aries. You want to be alive? You want to feel alive? Then you got to do the thing, but I'm so scared. Who cares? Confidence doesn't just happen. Courage doesn't just find you. Guess what? Courage is found in the doing. Courage is found in the action. Bravery is found in action. It's never found in just like waking up and going, I feel ready today. No. Bravery is sculpted with every fear, with every impulse we have, and we act in relationship with it. Bravery is found. It doesn't just happen. None of this just happened. Me being here confident, speaking about this, didn't just happen. I had to fall on my face. I had to face myself, my fears, my imposter syndrome, the honesty of looking back at the material and the shit that I'm preaching and going, there's a crack there. There's an opening here. There's a gap there. And not to go, oh, well, you're stupid and you don't sound good and da 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 da, and people will never validate you or see you or whatnot. No, to really look at myself and to look at, okay, cool, this point is really working and this point is really working you. Why is that? How can we make it better? And that's the thing about Saturn. It is a planet of making things better through sculpting, through showing up, doing those reps again and again and again, and trust and believe you will find a better self on the other side of these obstacles that we place, like fear, like anxiety, the uncertainty of it all. Uncertainty doesn't go away. It is uncertainty that pulls the pioneer forward to see what's at the edge of that horizon. You think the person that hopped on the first ship to find out if the earth was really flat was just woke up and said, I'm ready to cross that horizon? No, they were fucking terrified. But they needed to know for themselves. They got tired of other people's points of view influencing them. And in a very Aries way, they said, I need to find out for me. I need to know. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's the beauty of Aries. Like when they are wrong, sure, whatever, it's wrong. It might be hard for us to say so because we're mad at ourselves for being so wrong, more than likely. I'm an Aries sun. Trust it and believe it. Trust it from an Aries. But ultimately, you got to find out for yourself. You got to find out for you. You got to find out for you what you're really made of. And with Saturn here, we are proving to ourselves what we're really made of outside of what the world or the culture or the governments or your family or your peoples or your friends or whatever are telling you about who you are. Only you know who you are. Only you know what you're capable of. And it's time to prove it. And that's what this retrograde moment is all about. And let me tell you, the people who struggle with Saturn returns and Saturn retrogrades, or Saturn in general, are the people who resist. Resist acting with what they know they gotta do. You resist, you will feel exhausted, you will feel victimized, you will feel like the world is out to get you. But the universe isn't doing anything to you but showing you where you are in relationship to today and the person you got to be, you have to be. That is what we're looking at here. I have a need to become someone. This world needs you to become someone. To be an actfully beautiful agent of change who has autonomy and agency in this world. Because that's the thing with Aries. It's about agency. It's about me. It's like, no, fuck no. I'm not going to let you tell me who to be. No, I have agency. I am an individual in this world. Me. And I'm not going to let a system or a family or whatever opinion tell me who I am until I've decided it for myself. And with Saturn, again, 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 and again, it's not enough to just want to be or wanna be. You got to be the bee. And your doings every single day show you exactly where you are in relationship to the version of self you've always desired to become. But you got to start from the bottom. You got to start from the beginning. And that's Aries. It's the bottom. It's the first sign of the zodiac. It's the beginning. And nothing about beginnings are comfortable. Nothing about beginnings are comfortable. Nothing. We come into this world and it's a scary place. There's a reason why we cry when we exit the womb. We're crying. We're vulnerable. We're naked. We're cold. We're scared. What the fuck is happening here? I was just cozy in some womb. I had all the food, all the nutrients, all the warmth I needed. And now I'm out here in this scary ass bright world. Ah! It's no wonder why we scream as babies. And in that first scream, we scream the most Aries thing there is, which is, I have desire. I need. I want. I want food. I want warmth. I want agency. And if you didn't cry when you came out, well, even more of a reason to explore, why is that? Why didn't you cry when you came out? What part of you feels like you can't cry out loud? Where's that coming from? Liberate that voice. Liberate your truth. Because the babies who didn't cry when they came out, even more of a reason to cry out loud right now. Even more of a reason to scream. That Aquarius trope, man. To carry such vision and to hold it to yourself. Whew, how rude. How rude. So Saturn retrograde. Hopefully that makes a lot more sense to you now. Think about it. Look at where Saturn is hitting your chart, because that'll tell you the arena, the set design, the environment through which Saturn is playing out its scene in Aries. Think about that. Think about that. And we have from now until December, it's going to be amplified. Selfhood. And think about selfhood in relationship to the we-hood, the us-hood, right? Because that is why we're doing this work, to know who the I is in the collective. Collective is not all us holding hands, kumbaya, I just want to be the same as you. Let's wear the same color clothes and drink the same Kool-Aid. No. Collective is, can I be an individual in this world who is sovereign? And in my sovereignty, I can sit across the room for someone in their sovereignty. And I don't have to force them to be anything other than they're not, until I have to lay down that sword and be like, actually, you're acting a fucking fool right now. You are a poison and a toxic element to this beautiful thing we're trying to create. And why is that? Get your head out of the ass. Justice, right? We need both. But you need to know who you are in that justice conversation, how you sovereignty, how you move, and illuminate that for the world and each other, so that that becomes a positive ripple of change, right? Right? Okay, that's the end of my tangent. I'm bringing in already Aquarius and Leo, which influences this Saturn retrograde a lot. I'm going to have to make another video on that in the future. But you got a lot to chew on with Saturn retrograde. Think about it. Think about it. For my Saturn return babies, you got this. My Saturn return, one of the most transformative eras of my life. Transformative eras of my life. Okay? Now I'm going to be transitioning over to one-on-one little mini readings. Please stay in the room. You might get a chart that has some keys which are in your own chart. Please, it's very important when we apply astrology outside of just ourselves. And when we start learning about others and the rest of the chart and the rest of the wheel and what they want and what they need and what their shadow is, we start understanding each other a lot more. So Stay in this room. Even though you're not getting a reading, stay in this room. Watch what happens. Watch what you learn. Lean in. Think outside of just you for a second. Okay? If you are watching on YouTube, in the description, there are links to all of the readings that I have available. If you're watching on Instagram live, comment chart and I'll send you the link so you can book a reading. Now you will be booking a reading for the future, right? You will be booking a reading for the future, okay? I am completely booked up for today, but I do these shows every Monday, every Friday. So I'm transitioning over. I'm already running 15 minutes behind, which is very real. And trust and believe you will get your reading. The very first reading I have is for Kimmy Iggy. Kimmy Iggy, I'm just going to pull up your chart here real quick, love, and we will get your reading going. All right. Also, friends, join the collective, please. The collective is my private membership community. We host workshops in there for the new moon and the full moon. All right, here we go. I was muted. Apologies. I got it now. Yeah, I don't know. I, for some reason, yeah, muted myself. But I'm back. So I don't know what was the last thing you heard, but this message is for Kimmy. Okay, let's do this, Kimmy. So here's your chart, beautiful chart that it is. I love, I live, I laugh, I love. Where you asked a question here when booking this reading, something about career, spiritually calling some things through, right? Yes, the trauma, yes, all of that is very real. You have a very strong Scorpio signature over here in sun sign in Scorpio. Now, for everyone listening, your sun sign is your source of sanity. It is the center of your universe, okay? And in the center of your universe, it's how we refuel, it's how we recharge ourselves. So, how does Scorpio charge itself up? Well, you got to go deep. You got to go deep and you got to alchemize. You got to look at what is wounding you, what has wounded you. Eighth house here, the environment through which this sun refuels itself. Here we go. We refuel ourselves in a house which is all about inheritance, is all about shadow, right? It's all about where we typically hold shame, where we typically hold doubt. This is the space where this sun needs to go in so that it's no longer victimized by its wounding. Okay? Mercury, God planet, right? Messenger of God planet in Scorpio. So you have a way of speaking that is direct, right? But you don't trust the truth. You don't trust what's coming up to the surface, right? Because here we have Chiron in Libra. Chiron, the wounded healer, right? It's where we heal ourselves. And with Libra, we want to keep things nice, right? There's a fear of probably sharing the truth, sharing what needs to change. Change is a really good Scorpio word. Sharing what needs to change and it being confronting. Chiron here in Libra, amplifying its shadow, right? And the shadow of Libra here is people pleasing. I want to be kind. I want to be nice. I want to be liked. But there's a difference here between kindness and niceness. I say it so many times. Honesty is always kind, but not always nice. And I think it would really benefit you from really knowing that. In the eighth house, we're looking at a wounding around people who are really close to us, our soul contracts, the trauma of it all, feeling betrayed by it. Now, there's an amplified essence here with this signature of like being jaded and wounded by it, right? This feeling of other people hurt me. So I'm just going to try and be the most likable version that I can be so that, people will like me. And if they like me, they won't hurt me, right? Now, what makes this story even more unique here is your north and your south node. Now, as an evolutionary astrologer, which is what I've been trained in, I read you up. I read you up. I never read you down. And in this story of how we elevate, how we go up, how do we ascend in this lifetime? The best way to ascend, something worth contemplating in this process of ascension and awareness, because that's what astrology is. It's a tool to help optimize our self-awareness. When we are aware of these things and we contemplate these things, typically our experience of life feels way more gratifying, even in its challenges. So in here, we have the north and the south node, right? The north and the south node. Interestingly enough, we have a Saturn in Aries here as well. So it's your Saturn return. Congratulations. Very first Saturn return. But we have the south node in Aries. Now with Aries and south node, we're amplifying its shadow. Aries, of course, is about action. It's about impulse. It's about doing something. But with south node here, the doing of something is coming from a distorted place. This feeling of, I have to defend myself at all costs. I would say with south node Aries in the past, we had to fight for our life. First house of self and who you are, right? We had to fight for our life. We felt as though we had to fight for our life. And probably reality itself showed you like, yeah, maybe we were a war general of some sort. Maybe we were in environments and arenas that you had to make tough decisions. You had to make tough decisions. You had to decide for a group, right? And then things were not right, so you had to find a way to make it right, even if you had to fight for it. So in that, it creates this undercurrent with life for a lot of South Node Aries, where our response to life, that initial knee-jerk reaction, especially when things are happening all around us, is to defend. Is the very kind of shadow part of Aries of like, no, and I will fucking fight you. I will end you if I have to. I know I'm right. A very righteous defense of right? Where we run a little hot, more hot than we ought to, which is why you have this North Node in Libra. I think South Node in Aries in this first house of self paints the picture of, I can only be by myself. I can't be with anybody else. I have to defend myself. I don't know if I can trust other people, so I'm just going to try and trust me. And if other people come in to try and help me, it's just like, can I really trust you? Can I really trust you not to hurt me? Because if I can't, if there's an ounce of suspicion, then fine, I'm just going to be alone. I don't need you. I don't need you. I don't need you. I don't want you. No. It's too scary to need other people. And this is the medicine of North Node and Libra, is that you need others. It's to be in relationship. North Node Libra. Now, I would add here to be in relationship as someone who is sovereign, who can be yourself, right? Without needing to defend it, or without reaching to defend where defending isn't needed. To find peace in who you are as an individual, and to find peace in that in relationship with others. That's what we're looking at with Libra. See, with Libra, who is also a cardinal sign, mind you, cardinal signs of the zodiac are the initiators of the season, right? So we have Aries, initiates spring. Cancer initiates summer. Then we have Libra initiating fall. And then we have Capricorn initiating winter. These are all the initiators of something, right? With Aries, it's the initiation of fire. So the initiation of action and doing and will and creation, which doesn't really take into consideration others. And that's why Libra comes in as the medicine, the other half of the conversation, which is the initiation of contact and relationship with other people, a consideration of others as being a co-creative force in the unearthing of self. That one plus, minus another person, like it's good. You'll live a good life. But when we add another person and another person we feel good with, we end up creating something that is like, wow, we could have never even imagined. I was having a conversation with my partner about this axis the other day, and how I was telling him 1 plus you equals we, or like 1 plus 1 equals 2, right? But in that, we're not considering the one in the middle of those two as well, right? That there is something else in the middle. There's me, there's you, and in the middle, there's something that only you and I can create. So it's this feeling that co-creation is not 2, does not equal 2. It is 3. And in 3, we have the points of a triangle, right? The alchemical symbol of creation itself. So I look at your chart and I see someone who is wounded around trusting other people, hesitant around trusting other people, when in fact trusting yourself in relationship with others is what we're looking at here. And when you explore that and you discover that and you find that, then we can talk about the whole career and the purpose and all of that. The purpose worth exploring right now, though, is relational rehabilitation, I would say, right? Relational rehabilitation. Looking at relationships as a teacher. And can I really bring myself to these connections and trust myself in these connections, to be sovereign and to do the confronting work at times of no? And where is this no coming from in relationship with people? Is it because there's truth in this no? Or am I preventing myself? Am I hardening myself from the potential raw materials that this other person has and is walking into the room with? Instead of reaching for no as a gut, initial reaction, right? Like, no, we're not going to do that. Or no, I see it like this. Or no, I see it like that, right? Let me lean in and ask why. Let me really lean in and keenly listen to, okay, wow, this person might be really on to something. I can trust them to lead in relationship as well, in connection and collaboration as well. Instead of trying to think that somebody offering a perspective or point of view of you or feedback, right, as something you got to defend right away, right? Because there's an Aries trope there with this South Node in Aries of just like, I have to defend myself. It's like, no, it's not about defending oneself. And I would question if you really do. Or if defending oneself is limiting you from also seeing another side, another point of view, another exciting thing to create with the other person, right? Right? All right, Kimmy. So that's what I have for you, dear. Thank you so much for your trust in this exploration. I appreciate your contributions. Again, for friends who are watching live, in the description on YouTube, you can book a reading. If you're watching on Instagram, comment chart, and I will send you the links. I'm moving onward and upward to the next reading. We're 15 minutes behind here, so apologies for that. Next one up is Dani, if I'm not mistaken, who is coming back probably for a second round. Last week I had inputted their birth chart information wrong, so I was like, okay, let's get the right chart on here. Let me just make sure it's you. Do, 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 do. Let's see. Yeah, Pulpita. Pulpita, where are you? Okay. Let me put in your information here and correct it. Yay. Awesome, Danny. Let me just make sure I have your information right this time around, because last time I didn't. I'm so sorry about that. Cool, 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 cool. Yes, Costa Rica. That's what I did. I put San Jose, California, and it's San Jose, Costa Rica. Beautiful. All right, all right. Let's see here. Okay. All right. So, Daniela, let's talk about this. In relationship, to your chart and things to explore, right? We have Capricorn rising and this yod energy, right? Which is this like kind of skinny little triangle known as like the finger of God, is pointing at like your north node. We're looking at fifth house energies here with that south node, right? And we're looking over here at your first house, yourself. So Capricorn rising, right? We come into this world with a work ethic to do something, again, to prove ourselves that what we want and desire through work and intention, hard work, discipline, right? We're looking at, cool, carving that out for yourself. We have Neptune in Capricorn, Neptune being the planet of spirit, right? In Capricorn, it's the spirit of discipline, finding the spiritual influence of discipline and finding comfort in it. Uranus, we have the planet of shock, twists, turns, aha moments in Capricorn as well, which means when we dedicate ourselves to the work of building ourselves, boom, a sudden aha moment, right? When we commit and build a healthier relationship with delayed gratification, boom, aha, something comes through. So you want, and in this coming through, the vision that you're carrying and what you want to create in this world starts getting clear, starts getting clearer. So I'm looking at North and your South Node here in this conversation. South Node in Taurus. There's a habit here of getting too comfortable with what we're creating. There's a habit here of getting too comfortable with what we have to contribute and express, right? Taurus here can grab onto something, and in a very South Node way, we're staying here. We're getting comfortable here. We're unmovable here. And, interestingly enough, we have Mars, right? Your planet of action, your planet of drive. In Taurus, we're looking at action with our body, action with our values, actions with our worth. Okay? In the fifth house, the creative self. It's also the fifth house of romance as well. So South Node and Taurus might get too comfortable in romantic things here, and we got to really look at that. Where's the body work? And how does the body work and our awareness of body informed a deeper excavation of self? You see, we came into this lifetime, North Node Scorpio, highest octave of Scorpio. What Scorpio is really all about as highest octave is change, alchemy. It's to take the raw materials of a lump of coal and only through pressure, boom, life. Through pressure, it becomes a diamond, something sparkly that we get to witness, right? So we get to look at here of our comfort and how much comfort is too much comfort. There's an excess of it sometimes. And do we feel alive with what we're creating here? Do we feel alive in the work? Or is the work and our awareness of whatever we work on or whatever we're comfortable with pointing us toward something that needs to change? North Node Scorpio is to look at shadow in the 11th house, mind you. So the celestial body is the actor, the sign is the role that they've been assigned, and the house is the arena, the set design through which these actors play their scene. So the role of North Node is the stretch, is the North Star. We're looking at the North Star of Scorpio, which is to deeply excavate, to transform, to change, to look at the psychic nature of the human condition. In the 11th house, with community, with people, with a coven. It's to really look, I would say, in a very scorpionic way, how romantically we're throwing around this idea of community, especially amidst all this crazy change, right? We need community. We need to come together. And Scorpio goes, yeah, well, what about that? We're romanticizing community, but to be in community is also uncomfortable, right? Especially when we're amidst other people's energies, other people's points of view. We romanticize community, but guess what? Community is sometimes inconvenient. What does community really mean? And how can we, with that Scorpio energy and Pluto here in close conjunction, Pluto being the planet of death, rebirth, and transformation, deep excavation in Scorpio, right? Through the compost, through the bones, through all of that, through deep connection with something beyond just physical time, space, reality. We can use what is not being seen as a foundation to build a sort of community of some sort. A community which is a very scorpionic. It's about reclamation. Reclamation through honesty, turning the lights on in that dark closet and seeing all the bones, looking at our wounding, not as an excuse, but as the reason why we continue, the reason why we change. Because let me tell you, a lot of the wounding, there was probably some psychic material present in that moment that said, something doesn't feel right. Something is scary here. And Spirit's like, yeah, something's scary, something's scary, something's scary, something's not right here. You should probably move. You should probably walk away from this. This is probably going to hurt you. And then we go, well, I don't know. I can get comfortable here. I can be safe here, maybe. And boom, what happens? We end up getting hurt. And the very first thing is we go, you hurt me. And guess what? Every time we're pointing a finger at another person, we're pointing 3 back at us. And that's what we're looking at here with Scorpio. Is the 3 pointing back at us and going, okay, there's a role I have to play here. There's some responsibility here. What is the pain showing me? That I have a sensitivity. I have a heart, which is wonderful. But my heart is precious. And my heart serves. What does it serve? It serves truth. No matter how uncomfortable it is for people, no matter how tough a pill it is for others to swallow, my heart serves truth. And the truth in a lot of our lives is walking in that room and going, it smells dead in here. It smells dead. You get with someone and you're in that space and they're like, woo, and then this person happened and this thing happened and this person cheated on me and that person did this and this person stabbed me in my back. And Scorpio has the space and the empathy to hold it. But what does it become? What change is our victimization pointing us toward? What do we build with it? Here we go. Here's that Capricorn rising. What do we build with it? What do we create with it? 5th house, creativity. And creating it together in the 11th house. Some people might call this a coven, right? That's a very good Scorpio 11th house word. Who is my coven? Who are my people? What are we building together? No matter how uncomfortable it is, guess what? It's a hell of a lot more comfortable together. It's a lot more uncomfortable when we're just to ourselves and just going, well, I have a house, I have an apartment, I have food, but why do I still feel so like dead inside? There's only so much that the material can give us. It can give us some comfort, but Scorpio here says comfort is the enemy of growth. We might be comfortable, but are we growing? Are we growing? We might be comfortable, but maybe we're comfortable in a swamp. But here it is. Here's a swamp. But there's still a lot of life underneath that swamp. Underneath what we're thinking is dead. There's bacteria. There's whole entire ecosystems that thrive in the swamp, in the death, making it into the nutrients to still sustain some sort of life. It might not be beautiful and not might be Taurus and that like, oh, but it's not cute. It doesn't smell good. I don't want to be a mortician here, you know? To which North Node Scorpio's like, yeah, we're working in that. We're working in the death and the rebirth and the transformation. We're working with the ugly and making it beautiful. And the more you make yourself beautiful with your ugly and engage in spaces where that's at the forefront as well, I see in your chart that being some gratifying work. Some gratifying work that your soul came here to experience. How you serve really matters. I would question your service right now and if it's really carrying the depth that you desire. Yeah. Start thinking of community here. Alrighty. There you go, Donnie. Thank you, love, for your contributions. I appreciate you. I see you. I value you. And hopefully that message lands how you need it. You can go back and listen to the replay of this after it's posted on my channel. It'll be reposted. You'll get a email after your reading with the link to the playlist where you can find your reading and you can fast forward and re-listen to it again. But next up on the list, we have Jaylin. Jaylin, baby. Let's see what we got for you, love. Jaylin. All right. Okay. Okay. Awesome. 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 So this message is for you, Jaylin. Congratulations. You just graduated. Love it. Live, laugh, love. Now, considering what's happening transit-wise, this is something to really consider here. Now that you've gotten the degree, you've gone to school, very ninth house territory, right? You went to school, you probably learned something rooted and grounded, especially with Uranus here, which was, 7 years or so of it hovering in this ninth house. Uranus being that planet of just like, whoa, aha moments. Through Taurus, we're looking at ninth house. The arena is that of philosophy and learning, and it's the house of college. And I think, we found some rooted meaning in that. Now the scales are tipping towards Uranus and Gemini, which is a freedom of the mind now. So we got this thing. We probably thought this thing was going to be the thing we hold on to. We're doing the sort of Capricornian, now we build the legacy with it. Now we look for the career. Now we find the job. But looking at your crown, your job is not one solitary thing. And it's worth really exploring, especially with Uranus and Gemini, a freedom of the mind, a freedom of our perceptions. We got the very Taurus-rooted degree here, but I wouldn't be surprised if in this chapter it changes. It might go like this. Gemini needs to connect the dots in many different ways. It's about questions, more questions than answers, which is hard. We got South Node in in Sagittarius here. That karma in your fourth house, your home, your root, the root in your chart, which is going, but can I just believe in one thing? Virgo rising, well, yeah, one thing is nice. At least one thing is digestible. It's manageable. But Sagittarius is like, yeah, one thing. I just want to believe in one thing, get the one thing, feed the one thing, and that's it. Because when I know what the one thing is, that's very Sagittarius, the one belief, the one faith. But Gemini, Sagittarius's perfect opposite, doesn't work in that way. Gemini works in multiplicity. It spreads. It connects dots. It asks more questions than it gives answers. And I would say, yeah, how exciting to be alive in a time where I can maybe discern that we're not asking enough questions. We're not asking the right questions. And Gemini here, being the beautiful chaos gremlin that it is, goes, great, let's go down a rabbit hole. Only to find yourself with more questions than answers. And that's what we're looking at here with this next chapter, and also in the trajectory of this North and South Node, is to exit this life comfortably, curiously, with more questions than answers. There's a lot we don't know. And there's a lot that I can interpret from this world that can be very South Node Sagittarius energy of just like, no, I'm going to force you to believe what I believe in. I'm going to force you. I'm going to force you to believe. Like, you don't believe in what I believe in? The dogma of it all. South Node Sagittarius. There's a shadow here of indoctrination. Being forced to believe something that isn't entirely your own. Some people look at religion because of that. I'm looking at Pluto here, right? This beautiful Gen Z generation with Pluto and Sagittarius. Y'all came into this world to deeply excavate. Good Pluto word. Deeply excavate and transform. Pluto, Pluto, Pluto. What? Sagittarius. Belief systems. And I'm not talking about the rules and regulations of social conformity and government and that being it could be a belief system of some sort. I'm talking about belief in God, source, universe, creator. Belief that this happens for a reason. And that's why the Gen Zers come into to generationally and with this zodiac signature with a sort of jadedness around religion, a jadedness around people trying to tell them what to do. Gen Z really carries that signature generationally, just like that. Fuck you. Don't tell me who to be. Don't tell me what to believe in. And in that, we don't believe in anything at all. So what do we believe in, right? That's why I think astrology is becoming very mainstream right now. Because we're looking for frameworks and structures to really believe in. And I think there's something about that with Gemini that I love, of just like, wow, there's a lot of pattern recognition, and Gemini loves that pattern recognition, the connecting of the dots, right? And sharing the information of that mutable air, like, ooh, this is the dot I'm connecting. Where's your dot in this? Oh, that dot connects here. And wow, it's all interconnected, right? So there's part of that with astrology and how people are reaching for it, because it does provide that framework. Right? It does provide, in a very Virgo way as well, the systems, the structures that make Virgo feel like, okay, cool, here's the box, here's the box, here's the box. And also on the flip side, we have the Gen Z peoples who are really struggling to believe in something. So it's like, why not the stars? At least the stars aren't telling me what to do. At least a preacher or a pastor isn't telling me what to do. At least I don't feel dogma with these transits. Although in mainstream astrology you will see like retrograde, when will it end, as if the stars are forcing you to slow down. No, it's an invitation to slow down, and if you resist slowing down, then guess what? Retrograde's gonna fucking suck for you. When is it going to stop? It never stops. And that's the point. It never stops. It never ends. And South Node in Sagittarius is the sort of gothic beautification relationship with that, is that it never ends. Can we be comfortable in that? So I would encourage, as you've graduated, great. Graduation, college, all of that can live in that very South Node Sagittarius place, especially in the relationships of teacher and student, right? Guru and disciple, whatever you want to call it. How do we innovate? What's the next chapter with this degree? How is it pushing the collective conversation forward? Where is it motivating us forward, right? And I wouldn't be surprised, especially having Gemini in your crown and your midheaven, how people see you and receive you and remember you is worth exploring. A remembrance of like, wow, that person tried on many hats. And how exciting, you know? It's not just one hat we're trying on in this lifetime. We're trying on many hats. This degree, it's worth exploring the many shapes and sizes it can take. Don't limit yourself to only one career or one thing. Like, I got this degree, I got to make this one thing work. No, how does this degree inform a building of a legacy that stretches and connects and here and there and all the things, right? What does that mean for you, Jalen? What does that mean for you? So following curiosity here is part of the medicine. And curiosity as a compass and not as something we feel overwhelmed by, right? Saturn is here in Gemini. We're looking at structure with Saturn, right? With structure, we're looking at the structure of our thought, the structure of critical thinking, right? And what does that look like? Especially in the AIification of things, right? Where information and how we're informed is changing in very accelerated ways. So in that, it poses a very South Node Sagittarius philosophical question of like, cool, how do we critically think? How do we utilize the tools that are present here to help us critically think and ask the questions that we're not considering, to help us feel more safe and more nurtured in the very intense overwhelm, the influx of so much information all the time? How do we find comfort in that information? How do we find nurturance in learning, right? Instead of the overwhelm of it all, instead of like, I'm learning to find the answer. No, I'm learning to find out how whatever this quest is has so much multiplicity, has taken on so many shapes and sizes, and how cool. Whether it's Buddha or Jesus or Allah or Muhammad or Harry Potter, right? Whatever it is, whatever this quest for higher meaning is, wow. We defend truth as being the truth, but it's that defensive mechanism that limits us from really curiously thinking outside of our box, right? Thinking outside of our box. So that's what I'm looking at in your chart. I see it as something that could aid you. Looking at all this Aquarius energy here, look, Aquarius stellium, 5th house Aquarius of creativity, 6th house Aquarius of service, like what we contribute, what we create here is untraditional. We're creating a new tradition in the themes of how we serve, what we create, what a job or a career or a legacy really looks like. Because with Gemini, it's not about staying in one place. We're not staying in one place. And I would push against whatever belief that might be in you to just pick one thing and stick to that one thing. How about sticking to multiple things? What does that look like? And ask yourself if you're really playing it safe, right? You're really playing it safe. If you were to completely unmask and think of a career that has never been done before, that's what we're reaching for here. So do the job applications, Jalen. Like, sure, keep applying, keep doing that stuff, but never bind your identity to just one sole career, capital P, purpose. Because when you're there, that is the trap. That is the trap of this South Node, Sagittarius. Now, if the nodes were flipped, I'd be like, okay, we got to know the one thing we want to believe in, the one thing we want to feed, right? What is it? What is that belief? Because South Node Gemini is like, woo, too scattered. Talk about analysis paralysis. We got to focus. We got to really focus and focus on something deeply spiritual, right? So now the work is for you in this nodal axis is to take what you spiritually already have already come into this world with that South Node, and then to curiously engage with it and connect the dots outside of just your solitary experience of life. Is to look at the multidimensionality of truth in probably the many cultures and how they all connect. All right? Those questions we all have, and the quest to find those answers only to arrive at more questions. And how exciting. For some people, that isn't. But for you, it's in you to explore why it could be so exciting. Curiosity is your compass. All right? Yay! Amazing. Thank you, Jalen, for your contributions and for signing up for a reading. I appreciate you. I value you. Now we're going to pivot to our last reading here. And for friends who are still in the space, thank you. Thank you for being here. We're going to move on to our last reading, which is for Cassandra. So Cassandra, wherever you are in the space, in the world, just let me know you are here and we'll talk about it. Ba, 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 ba. Right. Okay. Do. Perfection. Just read your notes real quick here, Cassandra. Yay. Yay. Awesome. I love that you are asking this question. Okay. So, Cassandra, this message is for you, dear. A question here about your nodal return. And I will be hosting a workshop on the North Node in Aquarius, South Node in Leo. It affects all of us. Nodes are great. The conversation of destiny shifting, right? The North Star of the collective is shifting. And also the North Star of ourself is shifting even more so if you have North Node Aquarius, South Node Leo in your chart natally, in your birth chart. So all of us are going to experience it, sure, more in the undercurrent. We might have to work a little deeper and ask deeper questions to excavate the juiciness of this north node and south node. But for people who have it natally, I would say it's already been a conversation in your life. It's already been part of you for so long. I have a south node Leo and north node in Aquarius. So I understand this conversation. First, let's understand Leo at its highest vibrational octave. It's about being seen. Yes. It's about being seen, and it's about being seen as an illuminating force in your heart, in your love, in your honesty, in your authenticity. Now, the shadow of South Node Leo is a couple of things. It's the imposter syndrome of it all. It's the I want to be seen, I want to be visible, and I got validation over here, right? So I'm just going to be this version. I'm just going to mask me and just like charismatically, like you'll think it's me, you'll feel it's me, But when the lights are off and the curtain closes, it's the energy of like, who is that girl I see? It's very much Mulan energy. You're staring at that reflection and you're like, who is she? Who is she? Society is telling me I have to be this way, and that if I act this way, I get validated in some way. You know, Mulan, this energy of like, well, I am a daughter. I am this. But in that, the rules of like being a daughter and like not being able to go to war, in the most Aquarian way, she said, fuck it. I'm going to cut my hair off. I'm going to cut and sever my identity, whatever identity has been forced upon me through social cohesion and culture and these echo chambers, which are all Leo. These vacuums, these echo chambers all start with Leo. Trends, virality, influence, all Leo. It is the energy of being the sun in a room and going like, yeah, 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 yeah. And the room just like with that warmth and that magnetism shifts, sees you, and ooh, feels you, goes towards you, right? Now, just because the light is warm and inviting does not mean it's truthful, does not mean it's honest. You can be charismatic, you can be confident, but confidence is a feeling. It's not always truth. I can give you the feeling that I am a confident person, but deep down inside, trust and believe, at times, I am a validation hungry, questioning person. I'm still insecure, right? But I can give you, I can put on the show, I can shimmy my shoulders, I can present myself as being confident without really knowing the truth of that confidence. This is something that I've been excavating with my partner as well in this Leo archetype, and his reflections in the offering here of the difference between illuminating and reflecting. And the shadowy component of Leo is the reflecting nature of the moon, where we see its brightness, but its brightness is because of the illuminating nature of the sun. So it's a filtered version of truth. A filtered version of truth, so we can see it. We can see it in its reflecting nature. And this is the energy of Leo, that although I might be, let's say, reflecting confidence, reflecting truth, right? Illuminating is embodiment. Illuminating that truth, being secure in that truth, is what some people call embodiment, where I don't need to overexert confidence to be seen or validated. I don't need to perform a truth or ham it up, although sometimes we do gotta ham it up. Sometimes we gotta reflect it to get closer to the luminosity, right? The idea of faking it until you make it. I always had a problem with that phrasing, but there's some truth to that, where if we're really trying to individuate, especially as we're trying to individuate from decades worth of masking and performing, of being these insecure little beings, little insecure little babies who just want to be hugged and seen and witnessed, right? If we were to just like give ourselves the permission to play with that identity, reflect that identity, you will eventually find embodiment. To walk like the sun, which is Leo, ruled by the sun, to walk like the sun is to act like the sun. At first, you want to be like God, the Son of God, Jesus Christ. You look at the Bible and it's all the things of, here's how you can get closer to God. Things that at times feel unnatural, like loving thy neighbor. Especially in a world where this is our neighbor more than what's in front of us, right? A phone, a cellular device. and that there's a commandment, loving thy neighbor. You want to get closer to God? You want to get closer to luminance, luminosity, and being so illuminating that it doesn't feel like people are taking from you. There's that excess of this love. Here are some ways you can play with it. Here are some, religion or Christianity would say, here are some commandments. Here are some commandments. And the more we exercise these commandments, these truths of what it is to be seen in our inherent good in the world around us, the closer we are to God, the closer we are to an individual self, the closer we are to a collective force that is always loving and doesn't need to shout to be seen. And this relationship here is what it truly looks like to be that North Node in Aquarius. To be authentically illuminating with our loves in a way that serves others. South Node Leo, we get trapped in the me. Me, 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 me. It's narcissistic. It's insecure. It's uncertain about others. If other people are validating that South Node Leo, great. If other people are not giving that attention, what does Leo do? It turns it up. Turns the volume up. You see, deep down inside, South Node Leo comes into the zodiac because they really want to be seen. They really want to be witnessed, but with a North Node Aquarius lens, to be seen as our weird ass, quirky, multi-dimensional self. To be seen in a self that liberates, that expands, that connects, that is in service to a collective greater good. I keep looking at this South Node and North Node axis, and part of me is romanticizing the death of celebrity culture. Because I think so much of celebrity culture and influence, and mind you, look at the platform from which I'm preaching upon, right? There's a lot of Leo energy here, and look at me, and here are all these beautiful audience members watching and hearing and listening, right? Over 500,000 followers on all my platforms, right? All together. There's influence there. But in that, knowing and sitting with my personal North Node in Aquarius, I'm sitting with the integrity of that influence. Because South Node Leo, we can become cult leaders. That charisma, oh yeah, baby, I can get you to believe in what I want you to believe in. But does that belief, does that sort of manipulative, influential energy, does it motivate a sense of agency in your life? Or is your agency in this world contingent on what I'm making you think you can only receive from me? South Node Leo, we're looking at influence. Why we influence and how we influence really matters. Let's influence in a very North Node Aquarian way. And here's the thing, North Node Aquarius, getting comfortable with not being liked by all and being liked by the right kind. South Node Leo wants to be liked by all. Here is my throne. I am a king. I am a queen. Everyone loves me. My poll numbers are off the charts. North Node Aquarius doesn't care about that. North Node Aquarius cares about the people. You can have all the influence and all the crown jewels and all the viral moments and all the likes in the world. But if it doesn't serve something more than just you, then is that really good influence? Is it really pushing the conversation forward? So South Node Leo for you, Cassandra, the arena here, the nodes just moved to North Node Aquarius and South Node Leo. What we're looking at here is relationships. South Node Leo, this sort of energy of how people perceive you in relationship and the validation you get from that. how people perceive you and validate you in your experience of that? Do you really feel authentic in it? Does it feel discerning? Is the I in relationship with others, does it illuminate or does it reflect? If we were to bring self, North Node Aquarius, in the first house of self, who am I? Who am I? Outside of the influence of these relationships and these connections, and if I didn't depend on the validation I received in relationships of my inherent good, of my inherent charisma, if I didn't rely on the validation of these relationships, of being seen as a good person, as a helpful person, as a discerning person, whatever it is, if I didn't care about that and I still remained an individual self, do those things align? Am I reflecting light or am I illuminating it? Am I influencing in a way that feels like it's pushing my relationships to the next level? Or am I playing it safe? Am I hamming it up? Am I in a comfort zone within my relationships? And if I were to share my out of the box ideas of relationship and self in relationship, if I were to challenge the relationship with a discerning eye, what is coming up to the surface here? You know? And here's something to add to this conversation is that looking how this conversation is linked to your 10th house, your career, all that beautiful scorpionic stuff up here. So Scorpio, 10th house, there is a legacy, a persona here of being seen as someone that everybody goes to you with their shit. People just drop stories on you that they're like, wow, I am surprised by, I've never said this to anybody, never told this to anyone. And there's part of you that gets a lot of life from that, of like helping people change themselves, right? Helping people change themselves or helping people embrace change or look at the wounds and the heaviness, probably through a different perspective where they feel seen with that South Node in Leo. Like, that's beautiful. There's that warmth. It's radiating. People love it. But what is the excavation of this truth pointing you toward? Does it equip others with agency? Are we securing all their safety masks on, their oxygen masks on, giving them all the gems, but they still don't help themselves? There's something here with Aquarius that goes, hey, I humbly, I love that you can rely on me. Humbly, I love that you see something in me. But how can we get you to see it in yourself so that you have agency in this life? Right? Because how do we get you to critically think about yourself, to see yourself as capable, as being a resilient, beautiful, luminous being in this life? Because you can come to me, I give you the medicine, you might make the change, and then they come to you again. It's like, tell me now what? It's like, I can't, I can. South Node Leo, I have the capacity to be like, here you go. But if you're not equipping others with the truth and the resources to help them help themselves, then you will get trapped in this South Node Leo trap. Okay? So that's what we're looking at with this nodal return. Of course, there's other signatures here, which I can't really get into in 15 minutes. There's Jupiter in Leo. There's all this Capricorn energy in the first house. You know, book a one-on-one reading. We can go deeper and really chew on this. Like, this is where those soul sessions really matter. Again, they're located in the link in my bio, in the description on YouTube. Check it out, and we can really go through this. I will be hosting a workshop on this nodal axis, where it's moving through the houses and what the conversation looks at like. I'm working on it currently, so be on the lookout. Make sure you sign up for my newsletters and all the things so you're in the know when that happens. It'll be a pay what you can workshop, just because it's going to be a one-off. So there's that, just to keep that accessible. But yeah, on that note, my friends, there you go. That's what you got, Cassandra. Thank you, love. Thank you, everybody, for being in this space. This has been a wonderful conversation. Please get involved in the collective, my community, my membership. It's only $11.99 a month. $11.99 a month gets you 2 horoscopes every single month for the new moon and the full moon. It gives you these workshops, right? It gives you these one-off workshops that I'm hosting. And it also gives you a live community to integrate and to work with. Pretty soon we'll be having monthly open mic nights. We'll be doing monthly Q&As, which is just for people who are in my membership, where you can come in, bring your question, and we can work on it. I'm trying my best to keep building it. And on that note, we're good. We're good here. Lot of information. Lot of information to sit with. I see you guys. I love you guys. We'll be back again on Monday. I take the weekends off as much as I could. So looking forward to our conversations on Monday. We'll talk about the eclipse, which is coming up in Leo on Monday, starting to prepare ourselves for eclipse season. First South Node eclipse in Leo, baby. How amazing. All right, friends. Well, I love y'all so much. Say goodbye to the space before heading out. And if you're watching the replay, thank you for staying here. Bye for now. Okay? Kisses.